Hello, Assalamualaikum, and a very good afternoon. Welcome to FPM Webinar Series event brought to you by Faculty of Information Management, UiTM, and Center of New and Emerging Technology Research for Information Science, also known as CENTRIS. The title for today's webinar is Enhancing Trust in the Legitimacy of Products or Intangible Assets for Blockchain and Distributed Ledger Technology, DLT. I am Dr. Ilyana Khairulnizam, the lecturer at Faculty of Information Management and also the member of CENTRIS, UiTM. Now, let me introduce you the speaker for today's webinar, Mr. René Bernard. He is the co-founder and CEO of Luxtax, also founding president of Access Blockchain Association Malaysia. His daily focus is in cryptocurrency and blockchain technology and their adoption and integration into existing economies and businesses. While combining his business and technology background, he became an enthusiast in Bitcoin and blockchain for more than 5 years. René regularly shares his insight at national and global events. He educates professionals and academia in Malaysia as part of Blockchain Association agenda. His for-profit project is technology startup Luxtax. It started with only 2 fellow co-founders in 2017. It is now highly valued startup business in Southeast Asia, leveraging its core on name and business and symbol blockchain technology. Luxtax created a holistic industrial SaaS solution called BrandTech. BrandTech enhances customer engagement for brands and manufacturers. It tackles counterfeit, theft, creating big data insights into product distribution chains. To our participants, should you have any questions to our speaker, kindly post them in the comments below. Please type in your name, institution, and the question. Without further ado, I would like to invite Mr. René Bernard for the presentation. Please welcome.
Assalamualaikum semua. Good afternoon. Yes, and happy Friday to everybody. Thanks for the opportunity to share some insights, some humble insights with our friends at UiTM. Yes. I would like to ask, I have prepared a bit of a slide deck to guide through the presentation, not only to guide you, but even to guide me, because if I don't have a slide deck, then I can be talking for an hour about all these beautiful technologies, cryptocurrency, blockchain, because I'm a real believer. I'm a real enthusiast about this. And once I start talking, I even get lost myself. Okay. Yes. Thank you to my friends for sharing. The theme here for my presentation today, which will be around, let's say, plus minus 45 minutes, is to invest into yourself and to invest into learning about blockchain technology. This is something which will tremendously shape the upcoming not only years, but decades to come. This technology was an invention, some people even say, as big as the internet or electricity itself. I don't really go that far, but almost that far. So you might see the small subtitle down there in the smaller font, Enhancing Trust in the Legitimacy of Products or Intangible Assets using Blockchain or DLT. That is the example I will be bringing forward today for another disruptive use case where blockchain technology can give great benefit besides the use cases, which all of you for sure have heard about, the financial technology revolutions around Bitcoin and its brothers and sisters, cryptocurrencies. So let us dive into this. Next slide, please. This is just a short, sorry, yes, just wait until the next slide pops up. Okay, yeah, I'm a technopreneur by heart. I am residing in Malaysia already for a few years, and how to say, besides being a technopreneur, I actually have never worked for anybody else. I'm an entrepreneur all my life and always following the innovations and technologies because that's what I really love. So now looking at this table of contents, so you know what to expect. I want to draw a line between DLT and blockchain. What is it? Benefits of this technology. So you understand what it can do and what it can not do, perhaps have an idea about, because there is many trying to sell this as so-called snake oil. I don't know whether you heard about this term snake oil, but later maybe you can Wikipedia check that out. Snake oil is actually is a term for something what people sold, let's say, 100 years ago on some markets around in maybe I think in UK or in some countries. They sold this as a wonder medicine, wonder drug, high priced. Snake oil solves your solution. But what is snake oil? Like oil from a snake, and it doesn't have anything. It's like became a term. And now many people try to oversell blockchain technology as snake oil to solve all the hunger in the world or things like this. Be careful when somebody wants to scam you, especially scam you about your money or drag you into some blockchain-based projects. Because blockchain is the future, it will be great. You have to know what it can do, what it cannot do. So then the fourth bullet point here is the blockchain for asset tracking and protection. That is the use case which Luxtag, you see this was mentioned, and it's even the banner at the right side. Luxtag is our for-profit startup business, started in Malaysia, I think around 3.5 years ago. And we are in the sector of asset tracking and protection using a blockchain solution implementation. And we even have deployed a solution which we give the nickname eScroll. Upcoming, it will be rebranded into Scribe, which is useful for academia and for graduates to prove the authentic credentials they hold. So next slide, please. When we look into DLT, yes, I'm waiting for the slide to come up. I'm sorry that the friends at UiTM are pushing the buttons for me. Yes, okay. Sometimes it might take a second. So this distributed ledger technology actually is actually the DLT one back. Sorry. Yeah, next time we need to do that. I control the own slides. Sorry, it's a shortcoming on my side. Okay, so the DLT refers to technological infrastructure, where it's a protocol for simultaneous access and validation and updating of records. This means that actually a Google Sheet, you might know, right? A Google Sheet, you can share access with other friends or collaborators, and you have actually already a ledger, right? A ledger you can access through the URL in your browser. It's a distributed ledger and uses a certain protocol, which in the model of Google Sheets usually allows everybody either to be a commenter or an editor or a viewer. So that's the protocol. You can set whether everybody can do this or that or limit the access, right? But that's a distributed ledger, actually, distributed across devices and handled by a data center, in this case belonging to Google. But the idea of the cryptographic DLTs, which actually don't necessarily require a central party to organize and to enforce this protocol, right, on which user can do what. It uses the cryptographic elements to securely store data and use the PKI, which is cryptographic signatures and keys, public key infrastructure. That's actually a very meaningful and very important thing for, I would almost say, for everybody who's interested at least in computer technology to know about PKI, because that is what powers not only DLT blockchain, but it powers every HTTPS connection, every online banking, every form fill, everything which is secured. Payments via cards is using PKI, private key, public key infrastructure. And DLT uses the same thing to regulate and govern the access to data. So cryptographic signatures and keys is a basic element to understand at least the basics about. I know many people just, you drive the car, you don't really think about how does it work with an engine and the gearbox and things like that. But at least a rough idea of it is good to have. So then we can authorize users based on their digital signatures stored in their applications or devices. And this technology creates immutable databases, which means that the data can't be tampered with without having the right access keys. And the DLT technology is a bit of a broader term of this innovation to have distributed, as in not centralized, held, and cryptographically controlled ledgers. And ledger, you can understand here as a database, holding data of any kind. You could count cars on the street, or you could have financial records, or, I don't know, marriage registries or something. That is all like kind of ledgers, right? It's databases. It's almost interchangeably to be used with DLT here, with ledgers, yes, where DLT is applicable. Let's go to blockchain, which is a subsector of DLT. The next slide, please, which describes the distinct features of blockchain technology. Okay, hanging in, okay. So next slide would be, what is blockchain? Yes. So this blockchain technology is that kind of decentralized system for recording information and impossible to change, hack, or cheat. And the distinct feature, which I might slip in here, distinct feature is that a blockchain technology is an add-only DLT. An add-only means that you can only add data to it, which is a very crucial element for avoiding any deletion of previous records, whereby in your Google Sheet or even in other databases, whatever Postgres or MongoDB or even Microsoft Access or these, you can change data, delete data if you have the right access rights, correct? But in blockchain, even with right access rights, there are no right access rights, yeah. But if you had any, like, you cannot remove a data set, you cannot go back, and that is a special feature of blockchain technology, to be an append-only. That's the right term, append-only database, and that makes it truly immutable and facilitates even, that's the second point here, the process of tracking assets, tracking as in a business network for supply chain, distribution chain management. That's what we will come to later for Luxtax use case. So blockchains are widely used even for recording transactions made with cryptocurrencies. This is something that these cryptocurrencies can actually only live because things become permanent. Once you do a transaction, you cannot reverse it. You cannot take it back until if you have the dispute, you need to contact the recipient of the transaction and ask them, please, can you sign with your appropriate signature and issue a reverse transaction? That's actually something, maybe just to mention in between, a short wisdom sharing. If ever you want to exchange ringgit or US dollar into cryptocurrency, or the other way around, you know, there is cryptocurrency exchanges. There's even sometimes there's over-the-counter traders able to trade with you. The issue is that the part of the bank transfer transaction can always be reversed. You know, you can call your bank, you can say, sorry, it was an error. They will file a report, and after a day, it can get reversed. Payments with bank cards, easy to reverse, right? These things can be reversed if the person who initiated it declares, oh, it was an error. People have the right to err. It's even in the laws. You can make mistakes, and you admit to them, and you can demand a rectification. So banks help you out with that. They pull back the money. But if you do a trade, money in ringgit or USD against crypto, you do the trade in one side. Let's say you send crypto to somebody, the other person sends you ringgit to your bank account. You see it in the bank, it's there, it's good, you can close a deal, but then that person could take it back. It's not immutable. The traditional legacy financial world is not immutable by design. It can be corrected and pulled back. Crypto cannot, because it lives on blockchain. This is a different mindset we need to apply here, but that one is very useful for the point when we want to do this distribution chain or supply chain tracking, which Luxtax does. Because when we say that the temperature of this item in the distribution chain was too high, and the frozen pizza was out of the chilling chain, that happened. You can't say, oh, we make it unhappen. Well, in databases you can, right? With blockchain you cannot anymore. Okay, and then last point here, blockchain in even Bitcoin as one of its examples is not limited to the financial sector only, but that is obvious because my use case here will be talking about that. Next slide again. I think whenever I say next slide, it's just a bit lagging to build it here, but thank you, it's here, there, okay. So benefits of blockchain, that is something where we can look from the bottom, please. The integrity of data, that's the most important part here, that data can be trusted without trusting a central party to manage a database or to manage the IT system. We can have exceptional trust from customers without actually even trusting the brand, which operates, for example, the system. And then the other points here is more or less telling you the same thing. It boils back to the integrity of data, efficiency, transparency, traceability. The traceability is not only on the application level that you can trace. In our use case, you trace products or authenticity of products in supply chains. You can even trace back the single transactions which happened. Who signed which transaction? Who signed off? Who was the person? So we can make sure that that logistics driver signs off his part of transactions, not the ones from the warehouse person. That's another signature again, because we use the digital signature approach. Next. Okay, I still see the, yes, okay, and here we are. Blockchain for asset tracking and protection. And that is something when, let's please think about assets not only as, your share portfolio or stocks you own or something. Assets actually is even, it goes towards, a collectible painting at the wall. It gets to your expensive, luxury watches, or a car. Or to go down, even an asset is even your TV. There's quite a value in it, right? Or other items in your household and products. But looking at another intangible asset here, we put here intangible. This is even copyrights. And just to mention it now, actually an intangible asset is even your graduation certificate. When you finish your studies, the producer of your education could be UiTM, right? But then you get that intangible asset attached to you, which, you cannot touch your master's or PhD, but it's there, it's intangible asset. And it's worth quite a lot. Either you look at your bank account or you ask your parents, but definitely it's an asset, right? You invest it to yourself. And the tangible assets, I had mentioned this can be objects, items, machinery, land, and all these things. And blockchain makes it possible to certify and protect both these tangible and intangible ones. Let's go further. Okay, so the asset tracking and protection and blockchain use. This is something which is not new. Yeah, it's a use case which is becoming more and more emerging. Several companies around the world are working on this sector. Some are doing their own business. Some are working on interoperability between different innovation blockchain tracking solutions, blockchain asset tracking solutions, and even interoperability with the existing tags. You have, on products, you have these barcodes which are already existing, and we would need to somehow connect with the existing system so that there's a link between the new innovation and the old ones. So it's about collaboration of the different systems. And it's not that we invented that use case, but we think that we have a very good position with our knowledge to play a relevant role in this industry sector. So as I'm just reading the second point here, as a distributed ledger, blockchain technology is able to record all transactions and the changes related to that asset throughout this, you might say, farm to fork, or manufacturing to deployment and even disposal tracking. And this is relevant for even, for the packaging of products. We have use cases where you get deposit refund on packages. Maybe in Malaysia not yet, but in other countries around the world, Canada or in Europe, many countries are very big on this. That you purchase a product, let it be a bottle of milk or something. The milk costs €1, but you need to pay €1.20 because the bottle has a deposit, right? Deposit and refund. And that's a very interesting model where now people, there are machines in the shops where you return these bottles and there's a barcode on the bottle, and then the machine scans it and you get 20 cents back, right? That's being cheated a lot too, right? People don't put milk bottles in there, but people put something else with a similar weight and a barcode inside. So there are many interesting things to track, not only about the product, but even about the packaging and recycling of packaging. Many interesting things go forward here for pharmaceutical products. Is another thing, right? Pharmaceutical items. A few days ago, we had engagements with the Indian customers, and like, it's they have 1/3 of products. Maybe 1/3 of products are either not what they claim to be, or like less of the active ingredients, or are fake altogether. 1/3. So that's one field I really want to venture more into. But okay, not to. If I didn't have that slides, I could talk now half an hour about India and pharmaceutical. But let's go back to the slides. So blockchain promotes integrity and transparency, prevents any kind of changes. Obvious, that links to what I've said at the previous slides. It allows the users to track and trace the records of ownership for goods. That is an interesting point here, because we can actually own things and represent that in the digital world with the access rights to the digital representation of an item. I hope I don't confuse you too much when I mention something here that actually you as a person operating your access right and your digital signature to something, right, to this object, where you can issue a digital transaction instruction to the blockchain network. Please transfer this item to some other address, to somebody else. It can be the next step in the supply chain or distribution chain. So you want to sign this transaction to move an object to another person. That one actually is a record of ownership at that moment. Right? You can consider it like that. This is the same thing. Like, even if I sent you 0.1 Bitcoin, it's a change of ownership of that one digital asset. And that is very useful to represent the states of ownership through such digitally represented ownership transfers. It can be ownerships, it can be steps in a supply chain, or cryptocurrency transfers. Very good use case for that. Next slide, please. While it's loading, I have a sip. Here we are. So multiple parties can work together to compile this shared history from beginning to end. As said, some call it in food and beverage farm to fork. That's for halal, for bio, eco food and things. It's very important to know that you pay this double price for this free range, no hormone injection, telur kampung eggs, something, but maybe it's just rebranded and it is just the normal cage chicken. But so people want to know, where does it come from? And you want to be able to trace back. And that is possible when you use these ledgers using the multiple parties to enter data. Now, blockchain-based asset tracking provides these advantages where even the reconciliation in the middle of that point, reconciliation that you reconcile data at the end of the day, end of the week, might not be needed at all. You just have transactions passing through, and these transactions become immutable and definite after they happen. Very relevant point. Enhanced security, reliability, cost savings. It's you don't need to rely on a centralized database and a trusted party in the middle. That is something which, how to say it without offending anybody, but we had this halal meat scandals right here in Malaysia. I noticed that that happened, was at the end of last year or somehow, and it allegedly it ran for years, right? And all that was certified and everything was, can trust in the paperwork, but well, there was some flaws in the system. So I truly hope that technologies like these, if correctly deployed, can make the world a more honest place and avoid loopholes which allow these kinds of frauds to happen. Because it's an unfortunate human property to have a bit of this greed, right? And people want to have more for themselves, earn extra. Some people have more of the tendency to cheat, some others less, but we need to close these loopholes to make it a more truthful world. Okay, next slide, please. So that guy there is sitting and thinking, hey, isn't that really maybe too good to be true? Because what seems to be too good to be true often is, right? So people try to lurk you into something, wow, that's the solution, we can do it. So this slide is here to be a bit of a wake-up call into all directions. And the first point, garbage in, garbage out, is something which I think IT people would know or hopefully had heard about this term before. You can have the greatest IT system, but if you had your users enter silly data, right? I don't know, they enter birth dates in 1899 instead of 1999, or they, something, and then you do an analysis of the average age of something, and then you see, oh, average age is 95 of my users, or something like that. Garbage in, garbage out. So you put silly data in, you get silly data out. And the issue is, in the traditional IT systems. You put silly data in, you see the output is somehow wrong. Let me find the mistake and correct it. Try to do that with blockchain technology. Because you put silly data in, you put some, you're counting cars on the road, and let's say it's maybe not the best use case, but you're counting something. You work for any car or road construction company, and they order you go there, count, and pay you a daily salary or something, and you go count, and you count something wrongly. You use blockchain technology because it's the better technology, enhances trust, and all these things. But then you make a mistake. Well, what happens to that mistake? That mistake is already immutable, can't be changed, can't be corrected. It's there, done, full stop. So we need to be very careful here to put correct data in or protect this system, the immutable data keeping system, from such garbage data by doing logic checks or verifications or things like that before data goes in. Otherwise, you might know that accounting systems is another very good example here. Accounting systems. Sometimes you make an invoice or you account for something with 1 zero too much. You can still go back and change it and then account for it. But in certain installations, and actually in many countries, it's already by law that end of day, when you close the accounting journal, you cannot do that anymore. At least the system doesn't allow you to do it, right? The system doesn't allow you to change the invoice and just account for it. It's for protection so that you don't even, print the invoice for that amount. At the end of the day, you just reduce the amount to save on taxes. So they have an idea, why not to allow changing? But then this is something where in that traditional system, changes might be sometimes wanted, at least for some minutes or hours, still possible, and then you book it, cannot change anymore. We need to see that blockchain requires another approach here. And just to tell you, because I'm from Germany, right? In Germany, there is this law already for cannot change data records in accounting software systems. And there are services. You go to like a German version of the muda.my or Carousel or some other inserts or no advertise commercials, I think you call it, or the ads. And there's people who offer the service to change data records in your company database for you because they know the front end doesn't allow it, but the system still allows for it. It doesn't use blockchain after all, right? It's some kind of a database. And people can then enter into that database and change a data record for you. So that's something which the database providers and accounting system providers, obviously, they don't like, but then they close one eye. It's like a bit of an interesting point. I already had thought to develop a blockchain-based accounting software system, but I'm just too busy with the things I'm doing right now. So that's just another thought for you guys. So business processes, second point here, coming after this garbage in, garbage out. Business processes. This means that when the business processes are not set properly, right? Like set properly as in, exactly this is the chilling warehouse, the door must always be closed, and I don't know, the rules of this warehouse, even use gloves when you touch the meat or things like that. That's not what blockchain can do, right? A blockchain cannot confirm that, okay, this meat is now good for consumption. Because how do I, as the blockchain technology vendor, know that that guy in that warehouse yesterday, wash his hands or use the gloves or not? So the processes are still something which need to be enforced by other means, and blockchain technology can maybe support the enforcement of this, but we cannot 100% make sure that things go right. It's just business processes is something what we as Luxtax, as a company, are learning every day about the businesses of our customers to further improve our technology, because it's not that the companies follow our advice. Hey, but you have to do it like this. No, we as the technology people have to look at how does the world work and then follow that and improve on that. Participation, last point here. So we can build the greatest system, right? The greatest system of even Luxtax built a wonderful system where it's small codes, QR codes on products where you can, as an end consumer, you can scan this product, you can see the origin, you can claim loyalty points, all things, engage with the digital version of a product, right? But if people don't use it, then we can't collect the data points, we can't bring them into the system to create value for themselves and for the brands and manufacturers, right, who are our customers. We need people to participate. And this participation is something which doesn't just come like that. you know, if from tomorrow onwards you're, I don't know what product you buy. I don't know, let's say milk, yeah, your milk package or milk something you buy. From tomorrow onwards, they put a QR code on the milk. Would you, from tomorrow onwards, immediately scan the code just like that to make the manufacturer happy and participate? No, you need to be incentivized, right? You must know about it, and you must want to scan it because it's something in for you. I don't know, you see the name of the cow and the temperature on the field where this came from New Zealand or something. There must be benefits for you in it. Or buy 5, get 1 for free, these things. So participation is something we need. Otherwise, systems like these don't really work. Participation can be enforced, can be you must use for some things, right? You must use, otherwise you don't get something. But we need to think about this, and we need to think for the customers who we want to build solutions for. So next one, please. Okay, Luxtax Blockchain Solution. We use this technology to counter fraud and fakes, like anti-counterfeit. This is one of our main missions. And we provide business insights. This means that the manufacturer of items, it can now be the manufacturer of a luxury watch, of a handbag, but even the university as a manufacturer of graduates, right? They have data insights. They can see that these persons interacted with the digital version of this object. Can be a graduation certificate, can be a how we call it, e-CV, like an electronic CV with authenticated lifelong learning records, or it can be a product. And the manufacturer would love to see that all this batch of, coming to products, right? All this batch of shirts which they manufactured with a special price for the Thailand market, and then later they would love to see the business insights for this batch of 10,000 shirts. In which places did consumers engage with the shirt? Maybe, you know, you open the shirt, you scan one code inside, and then you get some bonus or something. But the manufacturer would love to see, hey, these 10,000 shirts for Thailand, why were they scanned in Malaysia, in Singapore? And then they can actually go back if they find batches of this in another country where it shouldn't be, right? Because of regional pricing or what's the strategy. They can check back which shirt exactly is now, or which batch, which sub-batch is in which other country, and track back that these shirts had been sold initially to that distributor in Bangkok, and then suddenly they popped up in another country. So they can go back and investigate and talk to the Bangkok person. Are you a trader selling to other countries? Don't we have a contract agreement with you to sell only in Thailand at this special price, right? So the gray market avoidance is another important point, which is based on business insights. And further, the customer engagement solutions is something which links with this participation and participation incentivization, right? We need to incentivize for the customers to participate. And when we give them a chance, communicate with your favorite brand, become a brand ambassador, check in, talk to your brand, or ask questions, or even raffles, win something, buy 3, get 1 for free. These things is something which we need to build in, and we are using this. So our use case for this asset tracking and protection, e-scroll and brand tag. E-scroll, as I mentioned, is for these educational matters, and brand tag is our solution. It's a software as a solution. We call it SaaS, a solution, to service brands of the world to protect their products and have all these things out of the box, right? The anti-counterfeit, business insights, and consumer engagements. Next slide, please. Okay, then, yes. They say, or people say, invest in yourself, invest into your education. True, right? It's one of the big assets, as I mentioned earlier. The best investment is in yourself. And blockchain technology allows you to make this education a truly like a valuable asset in your, let's say, in your digital educational credentials portfolio. So you could prove to the world that you have these assets through the online represented credentials. And there are terms now around, it's called like Internet of Education. Like, you know, we had this Internet of Things. People are now talking about Internet of Value, where people can transfer cryptocurrencies digitally from one point to the other. Now, Internet of Education, that is like easy to verify, easy to check, and yeah. So that is another use case. This educational sector, which actually I'm proud to say that we are in contact and in good cooperation with the team at UiTM to work out the future of this exactly this matter. Okay, next slide, please. Exactly. Yes, eScroll, and eScroll is this blockchain-powered well, anti-counterfeit solution against counterfeit graduates in essence, or counterfeit credentials. Nothing new when I tell you that the educational credentials is something where a black market exists for, and there were some even quite public scandals about this in Malaysia and even in other countries. So this is something where it's good to have a system where the educational institution confirms and puts into the system the verified credentials which you received at that time. And you know, I spoke about the traceability not only of objects, right, which are secured with this technology, but even the technology itself and the transactions and their traceability. So when somebody wants to fraudulently put in a data set for you so that you have blockchain certified fake credentials, wow, this can be traced back to exactly the person who put it in. So they would think twice whether they really want to put it in for you and charge you a small convenience fee for that, right? So we really hope that this one is a solution to counterfeit credentials too, and can create trust in the credentials. Okay, okay, next slide, please. So eScroll features. It's just a small list here that educational institutions can create the certificates. It's a digital representation of these certificates and transcripts. And the institutes can even revoke in case there was any problem which happened, and that revocation will be stored on blockchain. So it's like a flag. But as I mentioned to you, we cannot delete. Yeah, we just keep the data set. We add a flag. Is revoked equal yes, for example, or another explanation into it. Further then is a quick verification by scanning a QR code on graduation certificates is possible. And this, let's say, the system of eScroll is something undergoing heavy innovation and improvement right now. The very basic features is just to check the authenticity. But we want to see very soon already many more features which really can make it an eCV, educational CV, educational or electronic CV, and then into that one you can add other credentials from like micro credentials or other online courses, and a system to authenticate that they are trustworthy. Will then put something like a green tick next to it and a link to that institution to verify that this is the real thing. This is something what we are right now, how to call it, mulling over or improving the system. Yes. Next slide. Yes. So actually, what can you do now? What can we do? I would like to say this is like the honest place example I mentioned earlier. We want to make the world a more honest place and use these innovation technologies to do so. And blockchain technology allows us to close loopholes for fraudulent transactions. And I think that hopefully it's clear that what we do at Luxtax is a non-financial technology use case of blockchain technology, and non-financial means that we don't directly touch the monies of people. We don't really operate in transferring value as in bitcoins or ringgit or dollars or something from one person to the other. We are securing other assets as in digital belongings with digital representations and helping that way to make the world a more honest place. Okay, next slide. And I think I'm already through. Isn't it? Yes. Okay. So who wants to reach out to me? Actually, we are hiring. We are open for internships. We are interested for a contribution to our innovations. If you have a great idea, great use case, please come forward to us. If you perhaps even have a great use case in which you want to bring to us on a commercial base, we are interested to work out something with you. If you referrals or something like this, we are open for any kind of collaborations. Academic or even commercial, please reach out to us. You can go straight away to me, I prefer Telegram Messenger. The contact is here. So I think I can conclude this presentation within this, is it 45 minutes? For questions, of course, I'm open, but I think, how would the moderator like to do it? I give the mic, the virtual mic, back to you first, or how you want to go?
Okay, so let us see. We are open for questions. If you have any question, you can just write in the comments.
Oh,
okay, we have
question.
question. Yeah. So what would be the future of digital assets in Malaysia? And number 2 is how beneficial blockchain and DLT will be on electronic records keeping management system.
Okay. What would be the future of digital assets in Malaysia? So let's break this down. Digital assets is a term which is usually coined by the Securities Commission or even used by Bank Negara, and we read it in the newspapers often as a term for the digital tokens like the Ethereum, Bitcoin, and other digital asset tokens. So in that sense, I think that the digital asset future in Malaysia is bright. Obviously, Malaysia is not closing itself from these innovations of permissionless token transfers. And Malaysia is one of the countries which is more open to it, actually. And there are regulations on how to exchange cryptocurrency with ringgit currency. There's a legal background for that. So it's like that has a good future, I think. And to be honest, I think even many Malaysians are already diversifying their investment portfolios to hold a little bit of digital assets, which is a clever strategy, I think, for the long term. But then the second part of the question, can you maybe, so I get the wording of the second part, can you put that on the screen again? Yes. So how beneficial blockchain and DLT will be on electronic records keeping management systems. So I had shortly mentioned on this accounting software systems, right? That's something I think is a perfect use case, and it will come, right? It's not something which you can only avoid so long to keep some of the loopholes because they perhaps are beneficial for somebody, but it will come. Actually, it is something when let's say when we use a cryptocurrency transaction to pay for something between two people, right, or two companies. Let's say one company pays to another company. You have already the records in that company. You have the records on the distributed ledger and the records in the other company. You have already triple ledger accounting as such already, and the accounting and records management systems can even be linked with this blockchain system for transfers when they are done with blockchain networks. But we are far from that. Yeah. So the moment when most companies use blockchain technology for the transfer and don't even use banks anymore, you know how complicated actually it is to get information out of banks from statements from earlier this year or last year for company bank accounts. Very hard to get data from them. You need to pay to get old records. So once blockchain technology gets used for this for the value transfers between companies, then we will even see these electronic record keeping systems directly tap into it. And when I'm thinking about this, I think you heard about maybe the central bank digital currency initiatives where governments now try to put their own issued local currencies, here is the ringgit, into a blockchain powered system so that we can transfer directly from person to person using a blockchain network and transfer the local currency value. That's a good point, and I think that will come in many countries around the world, probably even Malaysia, and then that one will nicely link into this accounting and record keeping systems. So it will come and it will help a lot.
Okay, yeah, we're talking about the CBDC currency, which is, I think Malaysia is also working towards that with under BNM. Okay, we have one more question from Ari. Okay, to what extent the blockchain technology can increase the integrity of financial report generated by the company? This is from the accounting department of UiTM.
Yes. To say, again, garbage in, garbage out, right? How do we verify that the data you want to secure is the right data? And who assures that? So you let the auditor go through it first, and then we secure it was audited by that person on that day, and then nobody changes records after the audit was done. That's possible and very easy. But to increase the integrity of the report, which is generated by the company, you need to increase the integrity of the data being entered into the system first. And that one is something where blockchain technology can help you if all the transactions you do are already accounted for with blockchain technology, right? Let's say you are transporting items, or you are, you do even the value transfers using such a central bank digital currency. Or who knows, maybe in 10 years, we all use Bitcoin for transactions between ourselves. Who knows where the future brings us. But if that happened, then this can be very much shifted in integrity. But that one, maybe not this year, not next year yet. So the technology can only increase the integrity when when the data itself is already of full integrity. And that one is the issue here.
Okay, Rene, I have one question related to the COVID vaccination. Okay, if you can notice, lately the government said that there will be a COVID vaccination passport. How is it possible? Can this thing can be developed in blockchain?
Okay. So here we have the similar point, like I mentioned with the university graduation certificates and counterfeits, right? So there is a if you imagine you have a vaccination passport, which is just like that, a piece of paper, maybe has your picture, name, and some signature from somebody. That one can be normally easily counterfeited, right? And can you just show it to somebody and he believes it because it looks nice. That's what we have at the moment, usually even with university graduation certificates, until the moment that maybe somebody calls the university and asks there. But which brings us to the second level of security, which is when you have some kind of a QR code or something like which lets you easily electronically check it. And that one could lead you to a central database, to the database of the issuing body, right, who gave you this. In this case, like a medical certificate, vaccination certificate. So then the system can check back with that certificate. Well, but then we have still the issue of the inside job, which where somebody just can put in a data set for you, or there will be black markets for that. And again, we come back to this human greed and counterfeit issues, where even things which check back in a central system can be manipulated. And you would, I've seen things which I better don't even tell you guys. It's like central databases is always an issue. Then we have the next level. When we use blockchain technology, then there is a different level of integrity of the data, because it's not easy to just put in and create out of thin air a veil, or what's it called, the small glass of the vaccine with its 10 doses inside, to take out of thin air. Where does it come from? Because in this blockchain vaccination tracking systems, you immediately track these 10 doses from that number of batch are given to these 10 and not 12, not 13, exactly 10 recipients. And then you can check who administered, when, where, all this data, which makes it very nice, a nice level of integrity throughout the chain. And when you have that, this is actually a very good use case, in my opinion, to see from the more or less beginning throughout the throughout the breaking down the batch size, yes, and then the administration to the consumer. And then if you have a QR code which checks back into a database or into a blockchain powered database system, you have completely different level of authenticity. But Doc, to tell you another point here, in Germany, it was pharmacies tasked to issue digital vaccination certificates into an app done by the government, and they stopped it there because of the garbage in, garbage out, and of technical problems with that. They had to stop it because otherwise people would have gotten digital certificates based on fake paper certificates, because they take a fake paper into the pharmacy looks at it, it looks nice, okay, let me give you the digital one, charge them 10 euros and give you the digital one. So they stopped it first. And so when countries like Germany stop it first and still assess how to improve, so it's not the easiest thing to do, but it's the right way to go.
So we hope that something could be encountered on this particular problem, because I think that particular passport is very important in order for, especially when the borders is open. So how people can travel between one country to another countries without any false information regarding the vaccination. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Okay. I think is there any more question? I think that's it. Okay.
Great.
So for the participants, you can fill up the attendance. That the link is already posted in the comments. So I think that's a wrap for today's session. Thank you very much once again to Mr. Rainey for the knowledge sharing, and to all participants, thank you for joining us. We hope to see you again in the next webinar series. Okay, have a pleasant afternoon and stay safe. Assalamualaikum. Bye.
Waalaikumsalam. Goodbye.